Good afternoon. This is Brian Sheffy. Welcome to Genealogy Adventures. Hi, Donya.
Hi, Donya. How are you?
Listen, I am not the best, so I'm going to first want to say that some of these things that we may say today may be offensive to some that's watching this. We're not trying to be offensive. We're just trying to pull things together because there are others that have been offended already. So now we're in prep mode.
So I'm just going to piggyback off of that. I'm going to be unusually stern for me on this show. This is a Black genealogy and a Black family history and a Black history show. Today, we are going to be giving you an unapologetically Black viewpoint over the last election. And if that viewpoint is going to ruffle your feathers, if you're going to be all sensitive about it, and if you don't really want to hear what Black people, the majority of Black people, and I'm saying the 80% who voted didn't vote for the man who won, I would suggest that you turn to another station, another channel, you go do something else. Do not leave snarky comments.
Yeah, you will be blocked. You will be deleted. You will be removed. You will be all of those different things. So
we are not here to play today.
No, it's my shirt says I don't have the energy to pretend to like you.
I should have had my shirt on that says Black Fist Energy.
Yeah, that part.
Also have to say that the viewpoints that I express are my viewpoints. They do not represent any company or organization that I'm employed by, that I work for. This is Brian Sheffy speaking. No one else.
As in Shelley Murphy speaking.
And this is Donya Williams speaking. Please do not hold it against in any other things that we do, what we have, what we say. None of that. This is our personal feelings that we personally have. And before we get into everything, I want to first introduce Shelly. We asked Shelly this morning, like 6:00 this morning, you want to be on the show? Because we felt like a panel needed to be had.
Yeah.
And although there were a couple that we did ask, and one couldn't because she got ill, the other one was just not able. He was like, I can't. I don't have the capacity. I don't have the strength to deal with what is going on. And I definitely feel him, because for those who are also friends with me on Facebook, you guys actually saw me have a breakdown. That's what happened. I had a breakdown. And I was not the person to speak to the next day. And I'm still kind of like not the person, but I'm better. I am better.
And I'm going to say that, again, as Johnny was saying, one of the challenges of because we know plenty of credible Black historians who are genealogists and family historians, people's emotions are so raw, people are so numb, or they're so angry, they just didn't have the emotional bandwidth to have this conversation today. That's how people are feeling. And
Yeah.
again, people who have challenged today's topic, that should tell you something.
Yes.
And I'm going to say this comment. Yes, everything I say today is my own. But what I am doing when you asked about this in this time, I usually tune in. But I'm also doing research. So the research that's been focused on for the 3 hours earlier this morning was researching people with first name only. And the challenges that come along with that. So I'm bringing it another way with a whole different aspect, because I'm trying to make a person come alive as in human, somebody's ancestor, rather than that piece of property that got rented. And so to me, this is all affecting the stuff from November 5th coming forward. But I also want to say today that yesterday at 2:00, I was at the fourth great grandfather's plantation attending a wedding of the owners that now own that plantation. I was invited to come and because of them and this, that, and other. And I will say it was a pleasure because they also honored whose land that was, and they also honor the people that built that land, cultivated that land, and everything else. So the new modern people now in 2024 recognize who came before, white or black. And so at first I was like, no, can't do that. I don't want to go do that because of the way, the anger, but also the disgust that I felt. And so I had to get that passed because I like doing genealogical research. I like being involved with this. And I think we got a rough path coming. And how do we deal with that? And I think that is a goal, is to find out how do we get through for the next few generations, not just the next 4 years, but the next few generations where we're going to be gone. And they think differently already. We know that.
Right? And I'd like to anchor it just for me, and probably what I'm going to be speaking about through the show, in a genuine genealogical, historical setting. And again, for a lot of white people who aren't familiar with African American ancestry, haven't researched it, read about it, or even been taught it, you're going to learn something new in the next 3 minutes. There are 2 points in time where on election night really resonated with me. And the first one was watch night, when our enslaved ancestors were waiting to hear whether or not the Emancipation Proclamation was going to be a thing. That was waiting for good news. Now, it could have gone the other way. They could, the day that the Emancipation Proclamation was meant to be read, it may not have been. We know that didn't happen. But I can imagine the anxiousness that all of those enslaved people in all of those slave cabins or wherever they were held, waiting to hear the good word from President Lincoln. I could just feel that energy. And I texted that to Donya. But then afterwards, I thought, that's not really the right analogy. Kind of, it's adjacent, it's close, but it didn't really nail it. And for me, it was the day of the 1876 election. That was Tillman versus Rutherby Hayes.
Yes.
It resulted in an almost electoral college tie, and an electoral commission is the one that named the president. They did a deal, and they named Hayes president on the understanding and the promise he was going to pull federal troops out of the South, thereby eradicating the Reconstruction period. Reconstruction was going to be gone. And I knew that our ancestors must have known what was at stake in that election, and that things could go very badly for them. And as we know, they did. Reconstruction ended. The South introduced black codes, and we went into Jim Crow. And it's going to happen again.
So I have a question to you. I felt the anxiousness all day, and I kept the TV off because I knew I would come unhinged. With all the predictions and everybody's commentary and stuff. So what you just described, waiting to hear Lincoln say something, I was that person waiting to hear that on that TV, November 5th, 2024, or November the 6th. I chose not to watch any of the news because some of the news, and I'm saying this is me, even though I'm a junkie on this, it drives me crazy with all the opinions and inserts and things. And that makes that anxiousness even more. But again, I'm saying to you two, we're in this as descendants and as African Americans in this country. We have to plan accordingly, if that's the right way of doing it. And how do we do it? Because we can only hang on where the anger and the hurt's going to take us down, and then we're not going to be able to help. And we got to contribute. We got to do something. What is it? I mean, I'm looking for answers. You know, we're both deep in, all of us are deep into this type of research, but you know what? We got our ancestors on our back.
Well, I think, Nick, can I jump in for a second? Because I think that what we have to do, as far as that is concerned, is we as genealogists we have to let people know what we know. Our story literally has to be told.
Yes.
We had one, and I don't know if she's if she's watching. She said that she would be, but we had one lady that said that we would be giving misinformation,
which we've never done.
But
not my part.
No, we've never. So why would we switch now? Number one. Why would we change now? Because we don't like the outcome? No, we've never been those people from the beginning. So do not turn us into those people now for not giving proper information. But I want for her to understand that although she feels like we're not going to cover this the way we should, because it's going to be one-sided, because we are not feeling what we need to feel, her. I need her to understand that, number one, we never give wrong information. We back everything up. And I said this to her on the post, that we back everything up that we say. We always come with receipts. And one of the things, and this is lesson number one that you need to understand and realize, we can't, as Black people, as African Americans, as whatever you want to call us, we can't afford not to come with receipts. We have always been a group of people who have to work 40,000 times harder in order for you to understand what we are trying to do. So with that, I need for our one of our viewers who we appreciate, but in the same instance, respect what we do, because we do it well.
Can I just ask, and can I also answer?
And I'll just comment on that too.
Shelley, I really want to answer your question. So you were talking about kind of, how we respond as a people.
Yeah.
Given that African Americans and Black people are not a monolithic people, clearly. See, this is why I said at the top of the show, this is me expressing my viewpoints and no one else's. The way that I see it is, coming out of slavery, even trying to deal with Jim Crow, Black people thought that the road to success was adopting white culture, being like white people, doing things the way white people do. Never worked for us, has never worked for us. Maybe worked for a few, but as a people, it has never worked for us. I think the first thing that we have to do is reject the white culture that we have seeped ourselves in, and our ancestors seeped themselves in a bid to get a pat on the head, a ticket to the golf club, and you're one of the good ones. And when I say white culture, I'm specifically and this is an American thing, a culture based in selfishness, self-centeredness, and greed. We have to be a community again. Black people need to come together as a community again. And if that means doing things by ourselves, for ourselves, within our community, without looking for acceptance, just get on with doing what we have to do. And I gave Donnie an example of this yesterday. If the Department of Education goes, how are little Black kids going to be educated? We have to build our own schools again. We have to start teaching our own kids with Black teachers again. But
the fact that you're saying again is so huge to me, because
that's what hurts.
Yeah, that's the part that really is really painful, because the stories that our children know today is as if we never stood up for each other.
Yes.
As if we never had each other's back, as if we were always the crab in a barrel type thought process. And we weren't. We couldn't afford it. When we came out of enslavement, yes, we came out running. Yes, we came out taking care of the business that we needed to do. Yes, we were local, state, and federal politicians. Yes, we were doctors and lawyers and teachers. We formed schools with the help of other white people to help us do these things, but we still we instilled in our children that these are things that we needed to do. And somewhere down that line, from each generation, one of a generation was like, oh, I'm not going to teach my kids how my parents did. I'm going to do different. Meanwhile, every time a generation did that, we lost something. And that's when it became the crab in the barrel. And that's when we got to the point where we all of a sudden now, we never supported each other. We never, but see, I'm not, as genealogists, we know this because we see it in our research. We see how our families was bringing whole families over. The same thing that Hispanic Americans are doing today, we did then. That is exactly what we did. We would bring our family from the next area, put them in the house with us,
buying our family off the next plantation,
buying them off everything, going through all of that. We did all of those things. And because we did those things, this was how we moved. This was how we go. So in one instance, I'm in total agreement with Brian and doing what he's saying. But then in the other, I also know that there were some white people that helped. I also know that.
And then there were some that weren't enslavers too.
Exactly.
Also. And you know what? It takes all of us. But if we don't, and I'm saying us as in the people, not just genealogists, but us as African American descendant. Well, let me re-clarify that. African and African American descendants.
Yes.
We have to tell these stories. Mm-hmm. We have to tell what was going on. I commented about the plantation I was at yesterday, and it was significant because they served apple cider. And I thought, oh, wait a minute. Only I knew this connection, in which I told my son, you know what? Thomas Jefferson writing a letter, and I'll bring this around. Thomas Jefferson is writing a letter to the fourth great grandmother, the enslaver, about getting 100 to 200 gallons of cider. Who do you think was making that cider? And I got names.
Yeah.
Who do you think was handling those apples in the orchard? And this is, of course, what is me sitting here thinking of who all the work going on, and everybody's enjoying that cider. Yep. I didn't have a glass of cider.
I ain't mad at you.
But I had to tell Jay, oh, wait a minute. There's a connection. Wait a minute. And of course, I had to send the email and say, hey, did you know? And he said, yes, that was the significance of having it, was the connection. And my thing is, okay, where is it on the property? I want to go scoop up some dirt, or something. But again, I want to throw this, and I want the audience to understand. It's not about who's a senator, who's a congressman, who's elected, who's not. It's about you and what you're doing with you and yours and telling those stories. It's about you talking and communicating, showing up at 4:00 every Sunday, showing up on the third Saturday at 1:00 or whatever it is, showing up for the Alex Conference, learn, educate, and write.
And just know that over the next 4 years, as they try to erase Black history being taught, we're going to have
was Og's theme at the conference.
We're going to have to fight. We're going to have to fight to tell our stories. And I'm going to tell people this, and you may not want to hear it, but the last election underscored this, double underscored it for me. No one else is coming to our aid. I
Never
hate,
have.
I hate to blanket statements like this. As we said, we know that not everyone falls into these categories.
Right.
White people are not going to help us.
They're scared.
Latinos, not going to help us.
Scared.
Asian Americans, not going to help us. If we're going to get through this, not through it, because you only get through something to get through to the other side, to get to the light at the end of
To
the tunnel.
survive.
We have to come together, and we're going to have to fight every single millimeter of the way, and you have got to be committed to fighting every millimeter.
Brian, which we are good at.
Oh, we are good.
And how many years we've been in this country? Y'all start counting how much we've been fighting and surviving and the resilience. So here we go. We got this. We got this.
Shelley's ancestry on her black side goes back to the 1600s. My ancestry on the black side and Donya's ancestry on the black side goes back to the early 1600s.
Yes.
Ain't
We got the
nothing in this
assignment.
country.
We got the assignment. We got it.
Yeah, nothing in this country happened without the aid of black and brown hands. Not one thing.
If I could document what you just said, because in my mind, this is only Shelley, every decision throughout history in this country was a white man or woman, or I'll say predominantly white men in control, but who was standing in the room with them? Mm-hmm. Who was listening? Who shared that information? They always want to say blacks were inferior, they were dumb, they weren't educated. They knew everything that was going on. Washington didn't move an inch without, what's his name, Billy Lee? He didn't move anywhere during that Revolutionary War without Billy standing right by him. And you know what? Billy knew what the hell was going on. Every bit of that.
You know what? My mom made a statement. What you're saying and talking about, one of my mom's favorite things is that she always says is that a white man can go to be an architect. He can go to school to be an architect. Mm-hmm. He's going to get all of the learnings and everything that has to be done to know how to be an architect. He's going to learn how to draw up that blueprint to build that building the way that it's supposed to be built. But then he's going to turn around and give it to a man that has not had any schooling whatsoever. And that person that had no schooling whatsoever looked at that blueprint, read it, and gave you exactly what you wanted.
Yes.
So don't ever underestimate who we are. And I think that's one of the biggest problems is that they don't underestimate it, that it's actually us that's underestimating who we are. Yeah. We're not feeding our kids the way they need to be fed. These things are not being done the way they should.
That's by design too.
And it is by design, because now with the Department of Education more than likely being chopped according to the Agenda 47. Because one of the other things that was said was that we're talking about Project 2025, and Project 2025 doesn't have anything to do with Donald Trump because he denounced it. Meanwhile, Agenda 47 is the exact replica of 2025. It is the exact replica of it. Understand this.
And to that point, Donya, Steve Miller, and Steve Bannon have already gone on record saying it was always about Project 2025.
Absolutely.
Yes, they have. And then the other thing that I want people to understand is that I don't care if it's, and I'm trying my best not to curse, so I don't care if it's Agenda 47, Project 2025. The bottom line is he never shared what his plan was with anybody during the campaign trail. He never went into his plan, and now he is. Because while you're telling me that Project 2025 doesn't have anything to do with him, he turns around and hires the writer, the main person for 2025. So what I need you to do, I need you to not talk to me about that. I need you to explain. If you can't explain to me why he sent and did that, but he didn't have anything to do with it, I have an issue.
I'm going to boil it. I'm going to make it even easier than that. If you know zilch about African American history or Black history in the United States of America, do not come to us with your opinion.
Oh,
Don't. Do not.
Well, and I want to say another thing, because coming back to the point that we have to tell these stories, it's because someone else has controlled the narrative in this country. And that means Blacks and white believe that narrative. Calvin Pearson, who passed away a few months ago, that was 20 some years of work that he did about the 1619 Project for them to start telling the truth. They knew it. They knew who was there. They had the names. It took them 20 years. And right now, that city of Hampton, August 25th, got landing day. They recognize it. But Jamestown knew. They knew who was there. And I'm saying all of that, they knew.
Mm-hmm.
But they chose the narrative to write, which now you got generations, Black and white and Native American, understanding. That boat that came in on the White Lion did not come in with people that just came out the jungle. Those were skilled artesian folks that landed here, and we wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for those 20 and odd. Because not only did they teach white people, they taught the Native American. Now go fact check me on that. Call me if you want, because you have gotten one narrative.
They came from a very developed, highly developed kingdom.
Thank you.
A very learned kingdom.
Absolutely.
And they were Catholic.
Skilled.
They were Catholics.
Yes. Portuguese people controlled.
Yes.
What's his name? Juan Pedro.
Hmm?
He was on that boat. He's a landowner, y'all. He was one of the 20 and odd. No, it's confusing. But again, that whole confusing is by design. Just like the person you said about the 2025 and stuff. She or he, whoever that is, has to do their own work. They have to go research it, just like we're telling the story, just like we're fact checked all the time. And again, if you find something that we say, then you know new information. It's your responsibility to share it. Because if it's something that we're looking at that we picked up a year ago, and now you saw new resources and information, your job is to share that.
And as always, the information that Shelley is given, the information that we pull, that we speak about, we will happily share it in the text. Understand that, because again, what we're never going to do is speak on something and not be able to back it up, because one, and most importantly, we cannot afford to do that.
And it's our family we're talking about.
And it's our family that we're talking about, but just because we are sitting here making these comments like that, and when I think about what one of our viewers actually said up here, this lets me know that she's not really listening to us. She don't want to hear it. You understand what I'm saying? It's no here in this whole situation, because because I don't agree with you. So as far as you're concerned, I'm lying. Meanwhile, I'm consistently giving you information on why this is true and what it is that I'm saying, and you still choose to go another direction.
The onus is on her just to prove that you're wrong.
Exactly.
Go and find a credible source, not some blah blah.
Exactly. And go to a library before they get closed. You understand?
Wait a minute. I'm gonna say the books get burned. Get in trouble. You talked about the lion and fact checking. This country, I'm not calling names, this country just elected a liar, a cheater, a rapist, and a 34-count felon. Go get your facts straight. Why would we even do that, people? What did you see that I didn't see that says that's better to have that person as a leader versus somebody else? It didn't even have to be Harris. It could be anybody else. I'm just saying, what did you see? Because everything that they claim happened during his 4 years, almost cursed. That stuff came from Obama.
That shit. Say it right.
Yes.
That shit came from Obama.
All the economics and all of that stuff that rolled in, all that was foundation laid. Absolutely laid. And Brian, you know you're going to have to take this because we ain't going to be able to handle it.
Because I'm going to say this person in particular is challenging 3 people of a certain age who have been doing African-American research for decades.
I'm over 40. I lie and say 30 all the time. I started in 78, and I don't even know the math. That's Donya's thing. Do the math. I started in 1978.
And the election is over. So we would have nothing to gain, even if we were lying and spreading this information, which we are not. We would have nothing to gain. The man is still going to be president come January 20th.
Exactly. So let me, since Shelley has brought in the Obama situation, I want to do a 101 real quick on how politics works. When Obama came in 2009, he came in on George Bush's stuff. Yes. George Bush had pushed us into a recession. We all know that. It's not a lie.
He knows that.
Right. It is documented. It was pushed into a recession. He had to bring us out of that recession.
Yeah.
So when he's in from 2009 to 2012, he is in Bush's economy and he is now fixing it. But by 2012, the next election, we're now in his economy. Mm-hmm. So that's always the economy prior from the one before. Now, 2012 to 2016, we are now working into and on Obama's economy. So I'm going to give at least 6 years of Obama's economy that you guys got when Trump came into office in 2016. So when Trump came into office in 2016, he, of course, had a great economy because it was Obama's. He, of course, was able to do the things that he needed to do because it was Obama's. Absolutely. By the third year is when everything that he was doing started to switch it.
That's right.
And it started to turn it. And it started to make it bad. And then
which is setting the tone that Biden had to deal with. So let
me get there. Let me get there. And so then we already in this, and then COVID hit.
Yes.
When COVID hit, that was it. Because he didn't even think it was real. He got it and still didn't think it was real.
That's right.
You understand what I'm saying? He threw away the handbook, threw it in the trash that was given to them. He did everything that could have helped him with COVID, he got rid of. Now, I'm not going to call it race. I'm not going to say why he got rid of it. I don't know why he got rid of it, to be honest, but he got rid of it.
Why? Because he had Obama derangement syndrome.
He did, but like I said, I wasn't going to say it, but it is what it is. But then 2016 to 2020, now Biden comes into play. And when Biden comes into play, y'all are blaming this man's for the prior person's economy.
Yes.
That's what you did.
And he has to blame it up and COVID.
And not only that, but look, not only that, Biden knew that this was going to happen. He knew that they were going to blame him. Let me say before, I'm going to get you, hold on, Brian, because he knew this was going to happen. And he told us at the beginning, this is going to be rough. We are going to go through some things. Yes. He said it. What were the things? Inflation, the economy not being the best, us having to pay a whole bunch of money for things that we did not want to pay out.
Don't forget immigration,
all that. He stated it when he first came in the office. If I'm lying, go look it up, because he did that. He stated, he told us what was going to happen. Then we get to the end, his third year, and what starts to happen? Shit starts to drop.
Yes.
Gas goes down, starting to go down. Cost of food is starting to go down. All of that. But y'all think that because you got a little bit of cash in your pocket from them damn stimulus checks, you felt like we had a good economy. And most of you don't even realize that them stimulus checks wasn't nothing but an advancement on your taxes. Because then when you got your taxes back, your taxes were less than what they were from the beginning. So with that being said, do not come for Biden and say that Biden did these bad things, when in actuality, you were living off of Trump's economy at that time. So now I need to calm down. Go ahead, Brian.
Because I was going to say,
you, Brian, take it, please.
As an independent, and been an independent since I've been back in this country, I was not an enthusiastic Biden supporter, but I did vote to him, and I have to give the man credit. Look at what he did with the economy.
Oh.
Now, I was not at all happy with the Israel-Palestine and how he chose to deal with that. But on the strength of the economy, considering what the mess he inherited, where he's left us. And then everyone is going to be praising Trump, who comes in on January. Oh, look, the economy's improved. No, he got handed Biden's economy.
That's it.
So,
but y'all know what? Just like our genealogical, you got to question everything. Number one, the resource where you get your information. Whoever's listening to this, just because it's on a document don't mean that stuff is true. You need to have supporting evidence with it. No different than what we're saying here. Donya just went through historical evidence that most people know and the majority don't know. I know that didn't sound right, but you know what I'm saying. Most people don't understand that level, how that system works. And that's how she started out. And then just like Brian's saying, the average of us is sitting there. Oh my God, I saw Sharon talk about the Reagan economy. You are absolutely correct. But again, it's the cycle that Donya explained that people don't understand. And that's why when people vote, they vote for I. And what is in front of me, I. They don't know that it came from Obama or it came from Trump or whatever it's going to do, because they keep looking at I and not us.
And the reason why, and the main reason why they don't know, is because you have this education system shutting down.
It's
and if
down.
If Trump gets what he wants and makes those cuts that he thinks is necessary in the Department of Education, it's not going to do nothing but get worse.
Well,
it's not going to do anything but make y'all
being
dumber.
shut down, it's being censored. Education is being censored. Yes, Shirley, please.
Donya, I'm asking Brian this question. I want you to hold on.
Oh, Lord.
Okay.
Do I need to cross myself?
Yeah. Historically, how do I say this? And I hope I don't start crying. Historically, can the majority survive without the minority? Historically. Hold on, Donya. Don't. And I'm saying, because historically, think of this. Everything historically, and you know me, I started the Rev War. I know blacks were involved. Every war that was on these grounds. But every other historical event from the Revolutionary War that happened in this country, African Americans were involved and supported it. So, which is telling my brain, maybe they can't handle without the support.
I have a 2-point answer to that question. I'm going to make it even real than that. You had all of these white suburban housewives and wealthy housewives in the United States who had all the time in the world on their hand. Why did they need a black woman to raise their kids? Cook,
Mm.
cook their dinners and their food? Let's just start with the basics.
I'm saying, can they survive without people of color?
Have never been able to stand on their own 2
Hold
feet
on, Doc.
since 1607. Not since 1607. Never. Show me 1 year where white people stood on their own feet without oppressing people who weren't white, getting them to do stuff.
So you are answering my question.
No.
Thank you.
Cannot.
Donya, you cannot comment.
I'm not going to. I'm just going to go in because we have
I
one
don't
person
have
that
enough.
I'm not. I promise you, I'm not going to
But I
comment on
think
it.
that's a historical aspect that people, and as genealogists, we're seeing this. That's why it comes to mind for us to say, wait, we're looking at these records.
Yeah.
There's no segregated records.
Right. We see it happen all over again.
Seeing it.
This shows how people don't learn lessons from the past.
Yes.
Now,
yes, because they hide it.
I know that they're not us, but first on the agenda is the removal, creating mass detention camps where they're going to put immigrants and migrants, millions of them, to get them out of the country. What do those people do? They pick the fruit and veg that Americans don't want to pick. They do the manual labor that Americans don't want to do. Every construction site in Charleston has Central American construction workers on it. I have not seen a single white person.
And what is white America going to do when if he ships those 12 million out?
That's it.
So with that being said, on the last few minutes,
I'm sorry.
few minutes, no, because you're right, and I'm not going to go into that.
No.
The goal right now, I want to honor what we wanted to do, which is now how do we move forward? What is it as people of color? What can we do? Because I'm not going to lie. I'm going to tell y'all, for me, when I broke down, I could have cared less about anybody on my page that was not my family. If you ain't my family, you could kick rocks.
You beat me to it, because I have a coda to your question. I've been spending, ever since the election, I've been spending a lot of time on Quora, Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I had to write them all down because I didn't want to forget anything. The GOP may have won the battle, but in my heart, I believe that they will lose the war, because they have now radicalized a large section of Black people. I ain't talking about any other people.
Yes.
And it's not radicalized in the way that white people would think, in terms of gun violence and bombings and that kind of physical destructive violence.
Mm-hmm.
We're stepping out. It's like, and this is me, I used to be as liberal as the day was long. Ring a bell about something, ring a bell about something, I'd feel guilty about it because I was a liberal. Not anymore. So if Latinos get rounded up and sent out, you know what? I'm not gonna cry over it. I would have been empathetic. I would have gone out on marches, and I would have fought for their rights to be there. But because you couldn't care for us,
I'm not gonna respond on that one, because I'm
not either. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole, because
I'm not going on any marches.
If that happens, everybody is impacted. And I need a shirt that says, "I told you so." That's it.
I'm even saying that.
Not listening. You're not listening. You don't know the history. You don't know you don't understand American history. When people hit the shores of this water, there were people here before 1607. There were people here in the 1500s. And you know what? Those people look like the three of us that are on the screen right now. And the thing of it is, you got to know your history. And the thing of, and again, if you're not telling, sharing, and writing, then you're stuck just like everybody else and can't go any further. What'd you say, Donya? We ain't got time for this.
I don't.
I'm conserving my energy.
So y'all, let's
conserving my energy for my people, my family.
And I'm glad on that. So some of the things that we need to talk about real quick,
Mhm.
what is it that you guys think is the best plan to move forward? How do we move forward from this point? I mean, I know that you said what you said, Brian, earlier, but that's a whole thing. As an individual, what are the two of you
Number
doing?
one, get involved, get educated, get involved locally, get educated. And you know what? Bring them kids right with you. Don't you be standing in line without them babies standing there, and explain to them, because right now they're not even teaching them cursive. Right now, you got the responsibility to get yourself educated and be involved. And you know what? Then you got to share that information, just like we do with the genealogical services, research, and everything. You've got to tell, get involved at the local level. The win with Black women and things, thousands and thousands of us on these calls on Sunday. Get involved. It didn't stop November the 5th. Get your butt up, get up there like we do in who we are, and display what that is. So, in other words, don't go quietly and be done. Get involved and get educated. Start at the local level. That's my advice.
I inspire people every Tuesday through Friday to research their ancestry and show them the wonderful discoveries that they can make while learning about Black history in this country in the same process. I just wanted to quickly caveat the previous comment that I made. I forgot context matters. Shared with Donya this tweet about the woman in Pennsylvania who's in a mixed status household. She's white, her husband's Latino, he's not here legally, apparently, reading between the lines. She voted for Trump. And I'm like, well, you got what you voted for.
Yeah.
Why are you upset and complaining about it now? The man said what he was going to do. Now
you can't pick and choose certain things. You get the whole package and you did it.
Yeah. And I'm just going to say it again. People have not come out, apart from that miraculous moment around George Floyd when everyone was sitting at home at COVID and saw it live in Technicolor. Mm-hmm. People don't come out for us. And I don't see why we should have to come out for any other people until people start turning out for us. We told them in 2016 what was going to happen with that. It was not going to go well for Black people. People didn't believe us. Didn't go well for Black people. We had 4 years of a track record for Trump. So we spoke from a place of knowledge about how it was not going to go well for us. And we're right back here again. I don't have time for it.
People are
well, I want to approach two things. First, to Green Pill, that's constantly, because this is the person that's the adversary on the show, on the audience list. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. The only thing that you can say is that Trump won and Biden messed up the economy. You didn't hear anything that I just said to you on how all of that works. So you're proving my point. As far as what's the need for you to have been to listen on this show if you're not going to learn from it? That's number one. Number two, what can we do? Because now I'm going to answer the question. We can start honestly supporting Black businesses. We can start honestly doing those things, because y'all need to understand Black Wall Street was not Black Wall Street without Black people supporting each other.
In a community.
I have a cousin who owns a shop called Leonie Boutique. It's sweatshirts, t-shirts, drawer mats, cups, anything you want to think about. Those things are there. We have so many different people who does things. You got Genealogy Adventures. It is a Black-owned business, Black-owned research service that is diverse. Because we have white. I have one guy who's Hispanic who's always said to me, if you ever need help, Donya, let me know. So it is a diverse company. And not only are we diverse, we charge less than everybody.
Yeah.
Because we want more people
because we want you to know.
History. We want to make it
affordable. It's what the results are giving back. You want them to know, but it's what you deliver that gets the folks to the next level per se within their family. But I do want to say, no matter all the stuff we said, and I did mention about that book and whatever, but just take this to heart and to your children. We were never the problem.
Huh?
Never.
Where's my
Never.
cup?
Yeah, you got your cup. That's right.
It's
And mine's
dirty.
in the other
It
room.
says
I
we
got
were
the
never the
t-shirt.
problem.
I forgot about that. But we have to think of that because we're never the problem. We did not create this, but then we do have some that buy in one way and some that are at the other. We all said all this came from us individually, what we were saying. But you noted we all stayed on the same baseline, though. Everything was baseline. You heard everything we suggested, and y'all got examples probably in the chat, this, that, and other. And the thing of it is, it comes back to us as the people, just like our ancestors prior to us.
Yeah.
Let them come on
It's
in
just
here.
sad that we have to go through what they already went through, and that was one of the things that really made my breakdown
time.
happen
New
because I
time.
felt like we failed them. I felt like we got the civil rights era done, and once we went through the civil rights era, we fell backwards. Whether anybody wants to realize that or not, once we got that civil rights bill signed, we thought we were there, and we stopped. We didn't keep moving. We didn't keep going.
That stuff's still going on.
And it's still, and exactly. And you have less and less people working towards that.
Not knowing the history is the problem.
Not knowing the history. And so, I felt crushed. And I'm trying to get myself together because I feel it coming on again. But I felt crushed.
Yeah.
And it was harder for me to take this than the last time because Brian asked me. And it was harder for me to take this than the last time because the last time I didn't know who Trump was. This time I did. This time I saw
when
it.
they tell you who they are, you got to
believe it. And they told me who he was.
Yes.
And I'm disappointed that there are so many people out here that still hate us as much as they do. And not just those that hate us, but also those that hate themselves.
Yeah.
Because they did this to themselves. Mm-hmm. So stop talking about what you're going to do and start actually following suit. Don't tell me you're going to support a Black business and then don't do it.
And let's get real. It's going to be a fight because forget about the House and forget about the Senate and forget about the White House for just a minute. Trump already stacked the courts.
He did that during his term.
That was the first term.
So he's only going to double, triple, and quadruple down to stack it even more. There is no part of the American government that is friendly to Black people.
That part. Both of what y'all said.
The legal authority to do it. And our ancestors already have lived through that legal authority to do it. So again, the way you empower yourself is get out there in that community, get yourself educated, and be sure you're looking at the resources and where you're getting your information from. Just like we do in genealogy, it's the same book. Follow those rules on that. It's the same book. Don't even don't try to look for something new because we're still dealing with the basics here. This stuff has not changed. Trump's playbook is the same.
That was the challenge for the show, was actually finding neutral, respected information sources to share. Because you can't do CNN and MSNBC and NBC and all of those because people are going to be, oh, that's the legacy liberal press and obviously Fox and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Forget about it. It was really difficult to try to find neutral sources.
I had to turn
I was going to go to the BBC.
Yeah, that's what I do. I turned it, just turned it off because I couldn't handle all the different, I'm going to say it this way. It was the different opinions that didn't bring a receipt, as Donya called out earlier. And it was just the opinions. I get that. I understand that. But again, we can't look globally. We got to look at where our people are at, our family, and make sure we going to be okay, and stuff. And again, We just were never the problem. And they're not going to give up. We are now, this country, what, from 1607 going forward? No, but we still here. And I'm proud and I'm thankful. And you know what? The best, and I think it was you, Brian, one time, something about, or one of the webinars was about the resilience of our people. We got to tell those stories. We're here because they got through the BS that already has went through, and now we just tread another level of it at a different era and time frame. And it doesn't matter if you're white or black, you go be treading right with us. Right with us. So anyway, I'm quiet. 4 minutes. Go on, Brian. Donya can't talk. Go on, Brian. Yes.
Yes.
I love y'all. I love this show. And y'all, if you ain't hired them, because I'm getting ready to throw something down on them again and stuff, and because I ain't got time to do my own research, I need help. So anyway.
All I can say is I cannot shuffle off this mortal coil and go on to the next spiritual journey and meet the ancestors and tell them that I didn't do or say everything that I could think of in these times. Because I know they're going to look at me and go, listen, we dealt with that in our lifetime. What did you all have to, what were you all doing when you had to deal with this again? Say, listen.
I'm 72. I done been through some of this stuff before. But remember, I made the comment to somebody the other day, when I was born, I was not allowed to vote because that didn't come till 65. I was born in 52. I mean, just think of that, look, that's quirky, but you think about it. All right, we're here, we're right now. But look what we have made some strides. I'm not a believer in Reconstruction. That's a whole nother discussion, because when I retired from my other job, I was still dealing with housing discrimination and stuff. And it's like, wait a minute, this started back 1860s. You know, the cases and the complaints and this, that, and the other, and we still dealing with it. We still celebrate every April Fair Housing Month. We've got to tell the truth and keep the stories out. So somebody said they had a second depression. I'm so sorry. So sorry.
Well, the show is ending, y'all, and I hate to say it just like that, but we just gotta go. Just support your people.
Yes.
You know.
Do your research.
Yeah.
Just hold your friends and family and
sources and stuff. Reach out.
Do what we're doing and hold your friends, family, and community close.
Yes.
And just, on some level, just know that you're not alone. We're all in this together.
Help each other. Help each other. Thank you guys for having me. 4:59.
All right.
I'm going to say thank you, everyone, who joined us for this last hour. Sorry that this wasn't a kind of lighter, brighter show, but we're not in the lighter, brighter time period at the moment. And you can, we will be posting about next week's show. You will catch us next week right here, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in all the usual places. I'm Brian Sheffy.
And I'm Donya. See you later.
And I'm going to say, I'm Shelley. I am their cousin, distant cousins. So I'm going to be counted here. So thank y'all for this. We need this.
And thank you for joining us.